First story. I found a hidden hotel receipt, and it led me to the truth. I never thought I'd be the kind of guy to go through my wife's things. Jessica and I had been married for 12 years, and I trusted her completely. We had 2 kids, a house, and a life that seemed perfect. But over the past few months, something had shifted. She was suddenly always busy, work dinners, late meetings, and girls' nights out that didn't add up. She started dressing differently, wearing perfume she never used before, and even changing the way she texted me, short, distant replies instead of the long, affectionate messages she used to send. I told myself I was overthinking. Then, one day, while cleaning our bedroom, I found a hotel receipt tucked into her purse. It was from a 5-star hotel across town, dated for 2 nights ago. I'd been out of town that night. My heart dropped. I felt a rush of panic, anger, and denial. Maybe it was a mistake? Maybe it was from a work event? I needed answers. That night, I casually asked Jessica about her work dinner. She barely looked up from her phone. "Oh, it was fine. Boring, actually. Just a bunch of corporate talk," she said. Lies. If it was boring, why did she spend the night at a 5-star hotel? I knew I couldn't confront her without solid proof, so I waited. For the next 2 weeks, I watched her closely. I started checking her car's mileage, noting when she left and when she came home. I even checked our credit card statements and saw multiple charges at restaurants and hotels I had never been to. Then, every Wednesday night, she would leave for a work dinner. Every single Wednesday. So I followed her. I parked across the street from the hotel, heart pounding, and waited. At exactly 8:30 p.m., a black BMW pulled up. A man got out, dressed in a suit, confident and very familiar. It was her boss. I watched as he strolled inside. No rush, no secrecy, like this was just another date night. I gripped my steering wheel so tight my knuckles turned white. Then, 10 minutes later, Jessica walked in, laughing, smiling, like she hadn't just been lying to me for months. I took pictures, lots of them, but I didn't confront her right away. Instead, I booked a room at that hotel for the following Wednesday, right next to hers. The next week, I waited until they were inside their room. Then I called Jessica. "Hey, babe, where are you?" She hesitated. "Still at the office. Late meeting." I knocked on her hotel room door. I heard her gasp, then whispers, then silence. "Babe," I said into the phone, "you gonna open the door?" After a few seconds, the door cracked open. Jessica stood there, pale as a ghost, wrapped in a robe. Behind her, her boss, half-dressed. I smiled, pulled out my phone, showed her the photos I had taken the week before. "I'll see you in court," I said, and walked away. Jessica lost everything in the divorce. Her reputation, half our assets, and even her job. Because guess what? Her boss was married too. Third story. She accidentally sent me the wrong text and exposed everything. I was sitting at home, watching TV, when my phone buzzed. "Lisa, I had such an amazing time last night. Can't wait to see you again, babe." I stared at the message. Lisa was my wife, but she sure as hell wasn't with me last night. I sat there, gripping my phone, my heart racing. Maybe it was a joke, a mistake, but my gut told me otherwise. I replied, "You sent this to the wrong person." 3 dots appeared, then they disappeared, then appeared again. Finally, she responded. "Lisa, oh, sorry, babe, that was meant for Sarah. We were just talking about a movie." A movie? I knew she was lying. So I did something I never thought I'd do. I took her phone while she was in the shower and checked her messages. And there it was, a conversation with Mike. She had been texting him for months, flirting, sexting, planning trips together. I felt my whole world collapse, so I took screenshots of every message and emailed them to myself. That night I sat her down, showed her the proof, watched her face go pale. She cried, she bemegged. She said it didn't mean anything. But I had already made my decision. I packed a bag, walked out, and sent the screenshots to her entire family. 2 days later, I filed for divorce. She lost me. She lost her reputation. And the guy? Yeah, he ghosted her the second she got caught. Poetic justice. Second story. My wife went on a girls' trip, but I tracked her location. When my wife Lisa told me she was going on a girls' weekend, I had no reason to doubt her. We had been married for 10 years, and I trusted her completely. But then I got a text from her best friend. "Hey, tell Lisa I left my charger at her place. Can she bring it?" Lisa had left the night before. I replied, confused. "I thought you were with her." Her friend's response? "No, I haven't seen Lisa in weeks." I felt my stomach drop. I opened my phone and checked Find My iPhone. Lisa had shared her location with me months ago when she lost her phone at the gym. I clicked on her name, and she wasn't in the city. She was 3 hours away at some random house. I packed a bag, got in my car, and drove straight there. When I arrived, I saw her car in the driveway, next to a black BMW. I knocked on the door. A half-naked man answered. I didn't say a word. I just held up my phone with Lisa's location still open. Her face when she came to the door? Priceless. I left without a word. The next morning, I called a divorce lawyer. Lisa tried to beg, cry, blame me for spying on her. But guess what? She's now single and homeless. Because that guy? Yeah, he had a wife too. First story. I installed a hidden camera. What I saw destroyed me. I always thought my wife, Jessica, was loyal. We had been married for 8 years, had 2 kids, and built a stable, happy life. Or so I thought. Then, little things started to feel off. She was distant, always on her phone. She started dressing up more for work dinners, and even changed her perfume. My gut told me something was wrong, but I kept telling myself I was overthinking. Until one night she came home late, drunk, and went straight to the shower. That was my breaking point. The next morning I ordered hidden cameras. I placed one in the bedroom, one in the living room, and one in the hallway. I felt disgusting spying on my wife, but I needed to know the truth. Then, 2 days later, while I was at work, I checked the live feed. And what I saw destroyed me. There was a man in my house. He walked in like he owned the place, kissed my wife in our kitchen, and then took off his wedding ring. He was married too. I sat there, shaking, as I watched them go into my bedroom laughing. Then the camera cut to black. I had seen enough. That night I confronted her. She denied everything, until I played the video. She went pale, then started begging me not to tell his wife, but I had already sent her the footage. I packed my bags and left. The divorce is in progress. And the best part? His wife took him for everything. 5. Story. She thought I was on a business trip, but I came home early. I was supposed to be gone for 4 days. A business trip to Chicago, booked weeks in advance. My wife, Lisa, even helped me pack, kissed me goodbye at the airport, told me to have fun. But the first night away, something felt wrong. She usually texted me nonstop when I traveled. But that night, nothing. Just a short, "Good night, love you." The next morning, I woke up to a gut feeling I couldn't ignore. So I lied to my boss, told him I was sick, caught an early flight home. When I landed, I checked our home security app. Front door opened at 10:17 p.m., an hour after I left for the airport. Then a second entry. A man. I didn't recognize him, but he had a key. I drove home as fast as I could, parked a block away. When I walked inside, I heard voices upstairs. Lisa was laughing. I crept up the stairs, heart pounding. The bedroom door was slightly open. And then, I saw them, Lisa and some guy in our bed. My bed. I took a deep breath, pulled out my phone, snapped a picture. Then I walked in. Lisa screamed. The guy jumped up, scrambling for his clothes. "Hey, don't mind me," I said. "I just came back early." The guy, some random coworker, was frozen. Lisa was crying. I didn't yell, I didn't fight. I just picked up my suitcase, walked out, and texted my lawyer. A week later, she was served divorce papers at work. And her new boyfriend? Yeah, he ghosted her. 6th story. I set a trap, and she walked right into it. Something was off about Sarah. My wife had always been affectionate, but lately, cold, distant, guarded. She was suddenly super protective of her phone, always smiling at texts but flipping the screen when I walked by. One night after she fell asleep, I picked up her phone. Face ID didn't work. She had removed me. That's when I knew. I needed proof. So I bought a cheap burner phone and texted her pretending to be someone else. A fake name, a fake profile, just to see if she'd take the bait. And within 10 minutes, she flirted back. I pushed further, told her I was someone from work. She asked if I was as good in bed as I looked. I nearly threw the phone across the room. The next day I told her I had to work late. Instead, I parked outside our house and waited. At exactly 8:45 p.m., a car pulled up. Not just any car, her coworker's car. I waited until they went inside. Then I texted her. "Hey babe, just got home. Where are you?" A few seconds later, she texted back. "Still at work. Long night." I walked up to the front door, knocked twice, and waited. Sarah opened the door, and the look on her face was priceless. Behind her, her coworker was frozen mid-step, staring at me like a deer in headlights. I didn't say a word. I just smiled, pulled out the burner phone, and showed her the messages. She knew she was caught. I walked away, already planning my divorce, because I deserved better. Subscribe for more insane cheating stories. You don't want to miss what happens next. Story 7. I found my wife's secret account, and it ruined everything. We had always been happy, At least, that's what I thought. Tina and I were married for 5 years, and we'd built a life together. We'd gone through ups and downs, but I trusted her, or at least, I thought I did. It started with the odd behaviors, her always being on her phone, disappearing into the bathroom with it, and acting strangely when I asked about her work. I thought I was just being paranoid. Then, one day, I noticed a notification on her phone while she was cooking. It was an email from a name I didn't recognize. I told myself not to snoop, but curiosity got the best of me. I opened the email. It was a confirmation of a payment for something called VIP membership from a website I had never heard of. My heart sank as I saw it was for a dating site. I confronted Tina, but she denied everything. She swore she was just curious, and it didn't mean anything. But I couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. I waited for the next few days, hoping she'd slip up. And she did. One night, when she fell asleep on the couch, I grabbed her phone and opened the app. What I saw was beyond anything I could imagine. Dozens of messages with men. Some of them I recognized as our mutual friends. The flirting, the promises to meet up, it was all there. I felt sick. I didn't know what to do next. So I logged into her account, saved all the messages, and sent them to myself. The next morning I showed her the proof. She begged me to forgive her. But I couldn't do it. I packed my things, left, and filed for divorce. The worst part? Her account had been active even after we split, and I discovered she was meeting up with a guy from one of the messages. The cherry on top? His wife found out, and he lost everything: his job, his family, and his reputation. Story 8. I found my wife's secret phone, and what I saw destroyed me. I thought I had the perfect marriage. Sarah and I were together for 7 years, and I never once suspected anything was wrong. We shared everything, our hopes, dreams, and fears, or so I thought. But then things started to change. She became more distant, always on her phone, and seemed to have less time for me. I convinced myself it was work stress, or that I was just overthinking things. One night, while we were getting ready for bed, she left her phone on the kitchen counter. It was buzzing with a text from a number I didn't recognize. I told myself I shouldn't look, but curiosity took over. I unlocked the phone. It wasn't just one text. It was a whole string of messages. "Can't wait to see you again tonight, babe. I'll make sure it's worth the wait." And there was a name at the top. Tom. My heart dropped. I didn't know who Tom was. I tried to push the panic out of my mind, but I couldn't. I needed to know more. The next morning I confronted her. She denied everything, of course. She said I was being paranoid, but I wasn't done yet. I went through her phone again, this time looking for something I could prove to her. And that's when I found it. A hidden app, disguised as a photo gallery. Inside, I found explicit pictures from Tom. The messages, the pictures. They had been going on for months. I felt like the ground had been ripped out from under me. How could she do this to me? I packed my bags and left. The divorce was messy, but the most painful part was realizing that she wasn't just cheating on me. She was planning a life with him. Let me know if you'd like any adjustments to these. Subscribe for more insane cheating stories. You don't want to miss what happens next. Story 9. I found my wife's secret texts, and what she said broke me. I always thought I had a perfect marriage with my wife, Sophie. We had been together for 7 years, and I never once doubted her loyalty. We had built a beautiful life together: 2 kids, a house, a dog, and everything I thought we wanted. But recently, things started to feel different. Sophie became more distant, more focused on her phone, and less interested in spending time with me. I chalked it up to stress from work, but something in my gut told me I wasn't getting the full story. One night, I couldn't sleep and decided to check her phone. I knew it was a breach of trust, but I had to know the truth. At first, I found nothing suspicious, just messages with her friends. But then I opened a thread with someone I didn't recognize. His name was Chris. I thought it was just a coworker, so I kept reading. But the messages weren't about work. They were full of flirtation, compliments, and innuendos. She was sending him photos I had never seen before. It hit me like a ton of bricks. The worst part? She was meeting him in secret. I found details of their rendezvous, their plans to meet at a hotel on the weekend. They had been seeing each other for months. I felt like the world was crumbling around me. The next day I confronted her. She denied everything, even though I had the evidence right in front of me. But when I showed her the texts, she broke down. She admitted she'd been cheating for 6 months. I was devastated. But the most painful part was realizing that she hadn't just cheated on me. She had been planning a future with him. I packed my bags and left that night. The divorce is now in progress, and Sophie is trying to get me to reconsider, but there's no going back. Subscribe for more insane cheating stories. You don't want to miss what happens next.